Welcome to Dice and Mind, a podcast hosted by Brad Brown and Jason Kaufman to explore the intersection of life, games, science, music, philosophy, and creativity through interviews with leading creatives. All are welcome in this space.
I remember a couple years ago,
Several years ago now.
several years ago,
Yeah.
um, you coming to me and bringing up the game Microscope.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it and thinking, and I looked at it and I'm like, this is one of the most unique games I have ever seen
Yeah.
in terms of like an RPG type of game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and just absolutely fascinating. And I thought, geez, in terms of like a world building engine,
Exactly.
how you could use that as even like a world building engine
Yeah.
with other games. Um, and we had talked about having our guest Ben Robbins on.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about it for quite a while,
A few years, actually.
a few years.
Yeah.
So to finally be able to engage and have him join us for this episode is a coup of
Yeah,
some sort.
it's a real treat. And just to give everybody a sample of this, if you're not familiar with Ben's work, and you ought to be, we recommend it clearly.
Yeah.
But I was several years ago now, I was at the Source, just a wonderful big uh local neighborhood RPG store here in the Twin Cities. And I saw this, I was attracted by the name Microscope because I was like, ooh, maybe it's like a science-y thing. And it's a really little print, like really affordable, really little. It was in the indie section. And I just want to read this from the game's website. But just listen to this. What is Microscope? I'm taking straight from the website. What is Microscope? Humanity spreads to the stars and forges a galactic civilization. Fledgling nations arise from the ruins of the Empire. An ancient line of dragon kings dies out as magic fades from from the realm. And then these are all examples of microscope games, what to explore, and then sorry, I'm doing a terrible job reading this because it's so interesting. It's for 2 to 4 players, and what caught me was what you said of it's basically world building. It's not it just kind of hooked me.
Yeah, I mean it's a game unto itself, and then it can be used as like, I mean, I saw it as a game unto itself, and then also
Hmm.
as like a world building engine that you could use with any number of other games
Yeah,
in
yeah,
theory, as like a cooperative. And as you'll hear when we start talking with Ben, you'll hear him talking about the idea of cooperative game
yeah,
engagement, and he
yeah,
loves that idea
yeah.
of it. So, um,
This got us thinking, right? This was you figure this was a while ago, and it got us thinking. This was we discovered this back when we were playing with, well, should we like design a game? We were really into world building. I mean, we still are, but we were
mhm.
really early into world building. We were wondering like, should we like do something more with Dice in Mind? And seeing Microscope and Ben's other games kind of motivated some thinking on our part together, I think, of like what's the play space here? Like how could we be
Yeah.
thinking about this stuff differently?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so just really we're really excited that Ben was able to join us and talking about not only Microscope, but the
Oh
other
man.
games
Hmm.
that he has out there. And
And he was just
um,
so much fun to talk to. I mean, like I know we say
yes.
that about a lot of our guests, but like we could have hung out with Ben for a considerably longer amount of
Oh,
time.
oh yeah. And
Yeah.
and
And he had a
and what
cold and we didn't want to keep him and
and what's funny is we could tell like literally from like 30 seconds into our conversation that this was going to be a fun conversation.
and
You know.
it did not I okay, to my thinking, it did not go at all as I foresaw it.
No.
This it was so much more fun. It went in all of these other directions. It
Yeah.
it, it was just it was just really neat. Like you'll hear everybody, we hardly talked about Microscope.
Yeah, that's the funny thing is that
Uh-huh.
and you'll hear that here in a second how we talked about so much else beyond Microscope itself, and we'll have the show notes to his website, the link to his website in the show notes and everything like that. But check out his other games,
So many other
um,
games. Yeah.
and how easy it is to pick up and play these games. And you don't have to be sitting around a table or anything like that. You could do it, you could do it remote or whatever the case may be. So.
That's right. Ben Robbins has spent most of his life elbow deep in role playing games. He created Microscope, Kingdom, and In This World, writes the Ars Ludi blog, and spent years running Story Game Seattle to bring total strangers together at the table. He's working on his new game, Rules of Law, as soon as he finishes writing this bio.
We started this conversation right before we hit record, so we'll continue it.
Yeah, good.
But Ben Robbins, thanks for joining us. We were
Thanks
just
so
talking
much.
about the noises that occur during podcasting and how Jason has to always remind me to
Yeah.
turn my phone off. And I did just mentioned, how people are going back to vinyl because they like the sound of the
And
imperfections
you
and
lit up.
everything. Yeah, yeah. Ben, you lit up when
Well,
I
I
when I
had two very different thoughts. One was that
Yeah.
I used to play all in person. All the games I played would be, like most of us at the table. And then I was in Seattle and I gamed in person with strangers like every week. I had a weekly story game Seattle. And then when I moved across country. I moved to Cape Cod, and a bunch of my friends were still back west. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, so I started trying to play online.
Yep.
And initially it was very difficult and it was awkward. And then I think with time and technology, and let's face it, the lockdown, we all got very good at that. We all got
Yep.
very good at online behavior to the
Yep.
point now where like the vast majority of my games are online.
Yep.
And it's funny because the thing of like the distractions, if I had been sitting at a table with somebody and they took out an iPad and were looking at it, I'd be like, what do you do? Or like a phone, I'd be like, what are you doing? We're playing.
But
And yet
no.
somehow here we are, like right now the three of us are talking, we're looking at our computer screens
Yep.
and we're managing to not be distracted by all the possible things that could be happening on our computer
yeah.
screens, which is
What?
pretty impressive, I
Just kidding.
feel. It's kind of
Yeah.
amazing. Like potential
No.
dings, messages popping up, whatever,
Hmm.
we are maintaining focus. And that's the experience I've found in games is that people are 90% of the time surprisingly good at like paying attention to what's
Interesting.
happening, which
Yeah.
I think maybe is a testament that they're having fun.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going to be testing that. I'm going to be testing your resolve on that later because if we start talking about some of the games that you've developed and I don't have them yet,
No,
you
check it
will
out. Yeah.
you will see my hands leave the screen to the
Right.
You'll
keyboard and I
actually
will.
see the little dollar signs float up on the screen because Brad
The
has
messages will like,
a
Yeah.
well-known, well-documented habit, I kid you
Yeah.
not, of purchasing games and game books during interviews as he's introduced to them.
that's
Because yeah,
called, that's doing your research in the moment. That's
That's right.
yeah,
very,
yeah.
no,
So
nobody can really be sad about that. But it's interesting because that then you're talking about a case where the person is they're engaging with their computer, but in a way that is actually like in support of the discussion. They're not distracted. They're actually like when we game online, right? We take a lot of notes, right? Someone
Yeah,
will often be
right.
typing notes,
Right.
but they're listening, they're paying close attention, and they're taking notes. And so it's almost like an additional medium that we're communicating through because everyone's looking at the notes as they happen. So players are talking but
Yeah.
also seeing what's being transcribed,
Yeah.
as in summary. So it's an interesting. It's like an additional sensory perception that we're doing as we
Interesting.
play.
I
Hmm.
had a job a couple years back where they had like some really stringent rules about timing for meetings and having time at the end of meetings and about multitasking during meetings. So I got in this habit where when I would sit in meetings, I would put my hands up like this. So I still am in the habit
That's
on occasion.
right.
I've told you this where
Yes,
people
we've
will
talked
see
about
me
this.
and I'll have my hands up like this and I'll have people comment and say, I don't see people talk with their hands together like this anymore. And I'm like, I got into the habit of it because I would do this to make sure that when the C-suiters or the people that would police what you were doing in meetings
Yeah.
were in those meetings, they knew that I wasn't multitasking or
Right.
doing something. So, um,
You're behaving yourself.
yeah, I'm trying to make sure that they could see that I
Brad's
was
all
behaving.
meditative. I am with
Yeah,
the meeting. The
It's a
meeting
little
is with me.
draconian.
yeah,
Right. Yeah,
yeah,
a little draconian. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Uh,
it was a little
It
out
wasn't an
there.
ideal location. Yeah.
right,
No,
No, right.
right.
but again, thank you so much, Jason. You were introduced to us 4+ years ago, when Jason and I
Let,
started to get back into gaming with Microscope.
right, right. And so plug for the Source, which is a gaming store here in the Twin Cities. And it's phenomenal. It is an exceptional, well-known gaming store. But I was perusing the shelf, and one of the things that the Source carries is they have like if it's an RPG, they probably have at least a little bit of it. And if it's a major RPG, they have all of it. But then they have dedicated shelf and rack space for indie games.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah,
And
yeah,
and I don't mean like a tiny bit. Like this
sure.
is and they're just lovely people, right? Like you go in and it's what it ought to be, what you want it to be. But I was perusing and like Brad said, I had gotten back into gaming and we started gaming and it had been a few years at this point, but it was still a slow burn and we had just started uh this podcast. We were a handful of months in and not that many more episodes. Didn't really even know what we were doing. What debatable now, but we definitely didn't know what we were doing
Very
then.
debatable. Yeah.
And I'm in the store with another dear friend from back home, Brian, and I'm kind of in the mood to get something interesting. And I come across Microscope, and of course, one of my favorite things, and I don't mean this to minimize in any way. One of my favorite things about a number of your games is they are remarkably affordable.
Yeah.
Any
Yes.
right, like I mean, and I love that. Right? Don't get me wrong. I love the big glossy prints and all that, but the reality is that especially like as we're looking at exiting 2025, so many games are so expensive that not everyone can afford to do that, right?
Yeah.
Hence the PDFs. But you have these beautiful little books that are this ideal, approximately trade paperback size. They're thin, they're ridiculously affordable, and they just kind of call out, like, pick me up, peruse me. And I saw a microscope, and being a scientist, I'm like, okay. And it was totally the name. And then I was hooked when I like read the description, and I sent you a picture of it from the store, I think, Brad.
Yes, you did.
And so
Hmm.
this was in November of all things of of 21. And so we've been talking about Microscope and your games and kind of the apparent philosophy that we can tease out behind them since
Mm.
that. So yeah, so before we get into questions about some of the games like we were talking before we hit record, already had the good conversation. Um
This is round two, right?
we
Round
would
two.
yeah, right. Now we'll just riff. But we would love to know what got you, Ben, into game
Games.
design? Like we can talk about the games, that's important, but why? Like what's your story?
I think I remember back in the day, it seems like everybody who's ever gamed is in some level got a one foot in game design. You're always like, if you're running a game for some period of time, in some part of your brain, you're trying to make it be better in service of what it is you want to do. And even back when I played D&D from like 1980s when I started, all the way to probably about 2003,
Wow.
2004 or so. I was like D&D, like or D&D plus
Wow.
other GM games, but
Yeah,
mostly
yeah.
D&D. I was a long-term GM and I was often not happy. I was trying a variety of things to solve those problems. Like I perceived social problems at the table. I could see where players weren't having fun. I could see, or they were having fun, but they weren't having like what I would call like the best possible fun. Or they would have a lot of fun, but then if they didn't have fun one time out of 10, I
Yeah.
was very aware of it. I was
Yeah.
very alert to the dynamics. And I tried a variety of experiments to like experimental campaigns to try to change the dynamic of play and like how things would work between us. And that's how we got like West Marches. West Marches came out of that. It was one of my experiments. And there was
Hmm.
an
Hmm.
experiment I did before that Promised Land. But they're basically a series of like, let's try a big shifting the dynamic of play at the table, see what that does. Um, and then, but I was often still not getting what I wanted. And then I kind of like really almost accidentally started bumping into like the indie games of like early
Okay.
2005,
Mm-hmm.
2006.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd never really done a lot of like gaming stuff on the internet. I had not participated in internet forums. I had missed like the Forge. I hadn't really been involved in any of
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of coming into that and hearing from some of those people and hearing kind of the ideas. And like I went to Gen Con for the first time in 2005, and met a bunch of just lovely people and basically got to really see that the lesson I got from that was that um, the game could be anything you wanted it to be. You
Yeah.
can make any game about anything.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a social agreement at the table, a dynamic. And it kind of like opened my eyes to the possibilities that you really could shed a lot of the baggage that had been haunting me for years and had been
Yeah.
making me uncomfortable and my players uncomfortable. And then what followed was a very difficult process of trying to do that and playing a bunch of games and being unable to get rid of your habits. Like you play D&D for
Interesting.
25 years and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, let's just play a GMless game. That'll be great. And you can't
Ooh.
do it. You keep falling back in these other habits.
Right.
And Microscope in a way was like okay, if you try to like hey, let's play a game that looks like D&D. We're a party of adventurers, but it's GMless or it's some other weird dynamic.
Yeah.
You keep falling back into D&D habits. But if you play a game that doesn't look anything like a traditional game, you don't have those habits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Microscope is like doesn't even look like D&D, doesn't look anything
Right.
like a traditional game. So
Mm-hmm.
you're free to just be like, "Oh, I played this game on its terms and I can kind of just like start new instead of like coming
Right.
at it with all this like baggage would be the word baggage."
I mean, did you have a writing background? Like what gave you
I
the
just it
permission, if you will, to do this?
I think it's just again, I think it's just the anybody who games at some level is tinkering with their stuff, right?
Yeah,
You're always
absolutely.
kind of like
Absolutely.
experimenting and being like, I
Right.
want this to be just a little bit different. And before I went to like full independent game design,
Yeah.
I had tinkered with like, oh, I'll write supplement stuff for like, D&D,
Yeah,
Miniature
of
Mastermind,
course.
stuff like that.
Hmm.
And that was again very frustrating because you were working within the limits of another system. And you'd be like, well, I'm trying to do this thing. I'm trying to get this experience for people, but I have to wedge it into this game system. And then at some point I was
Uh,
like, what if I didn't? What if I didn't wedge into that game system? What if I just like did the whole thing top to bottom? And the funny thing is like even back in like the 90s, some friends of mine were like, we're gonna make a game together, it's gonna be awesome. We'd have these discussions. And back in the day, before the internet, before you just publish a PDF, the idea of making your own game or making your own supplements and publishing them was like how would you, are you gonna print them? Are you gonna, what are you gonna do? Like, how's that
Hmm.
gonna work? So the fact that I'm not sure as many people realize as it should that this is a golden age of the ability to create something and just put it out there and by you put it up on Itch.io and by tomorrow 1,000 people could see it.
yeah.
Right. It's
It is
amazing.
madness. It is amazing compared to in the old days where it's like, oh, I could maybe release something, but if I did and I use the word Dungeons and Dragons, I'd get sued by TSR. Like and I'd have to print it on Xerox paper and carry it to my game store. It was, and I know I sound like an old man when I say that, but it's genuinely true that the ability now to have an idea and have it reach people, like Microscope, right? Microscope is a weird idea. I don't advertise it, and yet people around the world hear about it and go like, I heard about this weird thing, and they
Very
come
cool.
seek it out, and it's amazing that they can do that. That
Yep.
it's wonderful, right?
The socialization of content now, the way it just can permeate, and we come from that same era where, we watched how the idea of being able to print something, you know, PDF something, put something out in PDF form and have it immediately available for people. I mean, that
Around
just
the world, right?
around the
Around
world.
the
Yeah.
Someone
world.
in Poland is like, "Oh, I'm running a summer camp. We were playing Microscope," and I'm like, "That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
fantastic."
That's incredible.
Yeah,
Blows my mind. So,
Well, it's
it's so normal now, and yet occasionally
right.
I remind myself that this is amazing, and I should be very happy about it. Right? I should be incredibly thankful about it. So
Well, I mean, it really democratizes gaming, right?
yeah,
Like, so I think of like Drive-Through RPG as one
right,
example, right? But a well-known kind of nexus for some
right.
of this, like I mean, you can even publish through them, right? Like, you have so many options now, as both a game master, as a player, as a game designer or writer. Like you said, Ben, no, it's not very many years ago at all that this either didn't exist or was super niche.
Yeah.
And now, yeah, now it's just absolutely remarkable.
But then there's the dark side. Let's
Oh,
talk about the dark side, which of
yeah,
course, then
please.
you go, are there too many games? Are the floodgates
Mm,
too wide? Are there so many, so many, so many games? Is anybody playing these games? You look at all these, like, I look at, like, itch.io is a great site for, like, indie story games type stuff. And you see people throwing up games every day of the week, and you go,
wow.
is anyone playtesting them? Is anyone playing these? Do these only exist as artifacts? You know what I mean? And that, I
Yeah.
don't know why that troubles me. I'm like, are any of these games actually getting played? You know?
I I mean, I think like what comes to my mind is because it's a fair question. Like my implicit response was like, well, no, 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 but like what comes to mind is okay, through the lens of the game designers, right? If you're putting this out there and no one's playing it, and or you're not making any coin off of it, right?
Yeah.
And or there's no feedback, right? Maybe that like for me that would be the litmus test of okay, are there too many? Well, if no one's picking it up, if they can't even find it because of this embarrassment of riches, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, there's a, and again, I don't want to like this will borderline. I don't want anyone to think that I'm
No, heresy's
jumping on a
good. Go
political.
for it.
Yeah, okay. Well, what I'm saying is there's a capitalism component to it. So for,
Of course.
Ben put out a quality product with Microscope. I put out a non-quality product with Brad's adventure engine. And if I don't put that, I didn't, but
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
don't, but if I don't put forth the effort and and the gumption and the wherewithal to push it through, the one that should have made it.
You know what I want
Um,
though? I
yeah.
want like us all. This is the thing I feel like I miss is that I want more crosstalk. I want
Hmm.
more
Oh,
like
that's a good point. Yeah.
I want people playing each other's games and being like, I learned from your game. You know, I want
Yes.
more of that. I
Hmm.
feel like sometimes
Hmm.
it's very easy to fall in a niche where you look at your own games as a designer, right? And you kind of forget all these other games. So I kind of want more like, cross-pollination.
That's
And
cool.
I think yeah, and I'm trying to remember. Like, for example, there's a game out. I don't know if you've heard of like Shadow Dark.
Hmm?
Um, like
It's an
Shadow Dark.
OSR, right? Like an
Hmm.
OSR
Yeah,
game. Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah. So Shadow Dark's an indie OSR type of game
Making a
that's
huge
just
comeback.
Yeah.
it's that's permeated out there. And I'm just thinking of games like that where and like Microscope and like you have Follow out there. People can download Follow for free right from
Yeah.
your website.
It's very
You
Yeah.
cool.
know, um, and people can grab these things and start using them. They're quality products. I know that like I'm just using Shadow Dark because I looked to my bookshelf and that's the first thing that I saw. That was like that stood out. That was like indie. Um, and people can grab and run with. There's a free Kickstarter for that. Or not Kickstarter, but a free
I think, I
quick
should be
start,
more
quick start.
specific. I think
Yeah,
specifically is like I think in like some realms of game design, like OSR,
Yeah.
Powered by the Apocalypse, there's a lot of specifics where there's absolutely a lot of cross-pollination.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I'm
Yeah.
really when I'm saying this in my brain, I'm thinking about the
those
rarest of
weird out
niche,
there
the
ones.
GM-less niche,
Hmm. Hmm.
the tiny
Yeah,
little rare sad flower that is GM-less. And it is a niche. It's a niche within a niche, right? Um,
No.
yeah. So I guess
but
really
I
more
think
what I'm
what
thinking is
you've done is
I'll
you've
let people cross-pollinate.
But
Yeah.
you've done it
no, but
successfully.
you've done a service with like Microscope and all that where, like, for example, for like Jason and I, that was an area of gaming that we
Yeah.
weren't really familiar
Right.
with.
Right.
Yeah, exactly right. Like it opened my eyes. Like I didn't know
Yeah,
such a thing existed,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
And
Your
once,
commercial success introduced us to it.
yep, and once, right, and once you become aware of that niche or the potential for those niches, then you start to notice, oh, wait a minute, look at all of these other games, and they're all, to your point, they're all different from one another. Backing
Yeah.
up for a sec, you mentioned Kickstarter. You have
I said
had,
quick start, but
okay, well, okay, well,
but
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 what I'm
Kickstarter,
saying
Kickstarter
is
kind
that.
of
Kickstarter.
kicked
You
it.
know
Yeah,
what? It was edited out, but he totally
I,
mentioned Kickstarter.
yeah.
It was
well, if
totally
we're
in
going
there.
Kickstarter though, because I did want to, you've had some wonderfully successful Kickstarters.
Yeah, Kickstarter. it's a weird thing because your Kickstarter is really just saying like, "Hey, I'm making this game. You want
Right.
it? Like, I'm gonna make it.
Hmm.
Even if no one backs this, I'm gonna make it. If I get $0, I'm still gonna make this game because I want to. Like, maybe I'll figure out a way to do. You know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
know it's supposed to be like I need this money to do it, but like, I'm doing it. I'm gonna find a way, right?
Hmm.
Um, it's really more like it's like throwing a party is how I feel about
Yeah.
Kickstarters nowadays. It's like
Interesting.
you're throwing a little celebration, being like, "Hey, everybody, it's a chance for a spotlight to get some attention to this
The
thing." And I
cake will
think
be here in
it's
12 to
great
18
for
months.
it's
Right.
great for that. But I think
Mhm.
also like I love that or I think it's fascinating that um, human psychology, right? In a way, because the game does not exist yet, right? You just give a promise of a game.
Hmm.
We can all kind of project our desires onto it. The
Right.
game can be even better than it would
Yes.
be. So you see a
Right.
Kickstarter and you're like, oh, yes, this, and you're just filling in the blanks of what you want it to be,
Hmm. Hmm.
even if the game's never going to be that. And so if there was an actual game live now, you wouldn't buy it. You'd read reviews. You'd be like, hold on,
That's
let's
right.
check
That's
see if that's
exactly
the game I
right.
want. But a Kickstarter, you're like, I'm
Absolutely right.
in, I'll do it. And
Yep.
it's fascinating human
But still
psychology.
the but the premise, or at least the details of the promise, have to be sufficiently compelling. People projecting it
Yes.
or not, right? That they still, right? There's still a hook. You've still said something. You've intimated something that's close enough that they're in.
Isn't it fascinating though how many times people their game hook is actually um a reference to an existing media.
Yep.
Like it's
Right.
like Stranger Things, it's like Star
Exactly.
Wars. It's
Hmm.
and you go like, well, I do like those things, but like how do I know this game? I
Right.
know you want it to be that, but how do I
Right.
know this game captures any of that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's
Yeah.
very sad when you have a game like, okay, well, there's the source media. It's like Studio Ghibli stuff. But like that's the easy part. It's easy to say I want it to be like Studio Ghibli. It's hard to then make it be like Studio Ghibli. How do you make a game that actually elicits those vibes at the table, you know?
Got me.
This is the
Well,
stuff I just think about all the time. I'm just tortured by this stuff.
That's excellent.
I know. I was just thinking, like, it's funny you bring that up because I was watching Firefly the other day, and how many times
Oh,
people have
Right,
tried to come up with.
right.
yeah.
There's a Firefly board game that's really good. There's been a couple attempts at a Firefly RPG that have been okay, but there's not a Firefly game that really ever got off the ground, you know. And to your
Yep.
point, I don't
Yep.
think it really ever fully
Mm.
captured,
How
you
could it?
know.
Right.
Yeah,
How could you because
yeah,
it's not just a oh well we'll use D20 or we'll use you know what system are we using because it's more than that how are you really capturing the
Right.
vibe that people like about that property is
yeah.
the witty repartee the dynamic of the characters how do you
Right.
make that in a game it's more challenging I mean I'm not saying you can't do it you definitely can do it but it takes a different level of thought of just like how does the combat system work
I mean, it really
Yeah.
goes to the point that was really hard for me to grasp early on in this, like as Brad and I were really getting into like looking at games through the lens of design, lit, that type of thing, that mechanic and or narrative really does matter
yeah
dependent on the goals of the specific game.
yeah
That, you can have some beautiful things like a Pan D6 or the Genesis system or a 2D20, but at the end of the day, whether it's all narrative, all mechanic, or some lovely mix, it really does matter for what you're trying to develop.
yeah 100%.
So, speaking of which, before we hit record, we were talking about like, what do you want to talk about? What should
Oh,
we cover?
Oh,
you
I'm
said
like, wait a
you
second.
had to
We've been talking
Oh,
record.
without
yeah.
recording
Sorry. Before we hit record past
Like,
tense.
let's
earlier.
go. We're doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
This is gonna be
Guys,
yeah,
like,
great.
what's happening?
Hey,
yeah,
I have a
Yeah,
cold.
yeah, that's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, you sound great. Um, uh,
I really don't. I'm very stuffy, but
oh,
you
yeah.
barely detected, so.
You mentioned in this world.
Yes.
So I wonder if we could talk about that.
Yeah. So like sometimes you have an idea for a game, and you just completely fail to make it. And this happens to me constantly. I get grand ideas for something or some particular thing I'm trying to do, and it will just like sit on the back burner for I mean, actually years, and
Yeah.
it'll be like a background project that I cannot figure out.
Hmm.
And then sometimes suddenly I'll go, oh, wait, here's the missing ingredient I was missing, or here's the bit that I had not thought of that suddenly makes the whole thing work. And in this world is one of those cases.
Hmm.
It was like in a variety of forums before this for years
Hmm.
And then suddenly I had a revelation just sitting there and just drinking my coffee and popped came into my mind. And the whole
Nice.
thing made sense. And I had the game ready in like a month after that, after years and years and years of
Wow.
sitting there staring at it. And the concept of in this world is very simple, really. It's the idea of like, here's the way things are in the real world. This is what you come to expect. Like
Yeah.
if I'm in the real world and I see a policeman, the policeman has a badge, the policeman has a uniform. If I'm in the real world, I drive my car on a road. That's what I expect. That is normal. None of us even think about that. And the idea of in this world is like, what if you took things you knew about the real world and said, let's imagine a world where those are different. And that seems very simple. And the trick is basically you start off with whatever topic you want to explore, doctor's law, candy,
Yeah.
pets,
Yeah.
and then you start off very simply and say, hey, let's all just talk about what are the facts about that in the world. What do we expect? What are the norms? Like nothing fancy, right?
Yeah.
This is I'm explaining the magic trick in detail. I'm going to take apart the entire machine and explain it to you. And because I'm not asking you anything creative, I'm just asking you basic facts about the world around you. That's
Hmm.
easy.
Hmm.
Anybody can do that.
Hmm.
If I ask you about pets and I'm like, tell me things about pets, you're like, people own pets, owners feed pets, I brush my pet, I play with my pet. Just simple facts like that. And I say, make a list of those facts, right? You get a little list. And that's easy. That's not hard at all. And then I say, now we're going to switch to creativity. And all I want you to do is pick one of those facts and make up an imaginary world where that fact is not true. And you
Hmm.
say, okay, so a world where we don't own our pets? And I'm like, go. And so because you've been talking about pets already and your brain is kind of like in the pet space, we've made all these
Right.
facts already, it's shockingly easy for people to jump right in and start imagining very, very different worlds where the
Yeah.
laws that we follow are broken. But here's the trick, and here's why that didn't work for years. I'm like, well, okay, fine, but then like, how do you resolve when people disagree? And I don't want it to be that way. I don't want pets to be like that, blah, blah, blah. The realization was don't make one world, right? You make a world about pets, and somebody leads off like in this world, pets are not common animals. Pets are exotic animals. Like everyone's pets are like ostriches and killer whales and stuff like that. And everyone's like, well, that's bizarre. And we go through the process. Everyone contributes. We make this strange world, and everyone's like, well, okay, good job. And then we stop with that world and we make a totally brand new second world. And
Mhm.
someone else starts that world. And it's completely independent. And then we do it again and we do it again until by the time we're done, an hour and a half later, we've made like four completely
Yep.
separate fictional conceptual worlds that
Yep.
have no connection to each other, which means that as a player, you don't have any of that pressure of getting it right. If you
Hmm.
make something wacky that isn't so good, it doesn't matter. It's just going to be one of several
Interesting.
pieces of the puzzle, and they're not even a puzzle, they're not connected. So you're free to kind of like explore and do interesting things, and the pressure just vanishes. And the beauty is then you actually do make kind of fascinatingly interesting takes on it. It's all kind of a commentary about the real world, right? You're looking
Right.
at the real world through some kind of a different lens.
Yeah.
And it is totally fascinating. We played a game about vacations. Like in this world, how are vacations? And it was like genuinely bittersweet. Like it's fascinating. So it's the by the simple mechanic of making not one world, making several. Um, Radically alters the social dynamic, which is always what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the what is the pressures on the players, what's the pressures on creativity. But here's what's interesting. Every person who ever plays this game says, I wanted to keep exploring that world. World number
Right.
two, I was into that. I
Right.
wanted to keep going. Why did we stop? Why did we just stop after 20 minutes with that world? I'm like, yeah, that's the deal. That's the trade-off, right? If you kept going, okay, the only limiting factor really is time.
Yeah.
Time is finite, right? We only have so much time to play. How are we going to spend that time? We could do one world and spend 3 hours digging into it, but then we do one world, right? That's all we do. This says like, no, we're going to do like four worlds in a relatively simple form. We're going to have a big picture in our brain. Our brain's going to kind of explode with these ideas, and then we're going to stop immediately and go to the next one. And then leaving the game, each of us is kind of like, I have so many thoughts,
Yeah.
and probably about different parts of it. Like you're thinking about the world with the crazy pets, And I'm thinking about the world where like pets you live forever and they're our soulmates. They're looking for us. The dog is looking for us for all time. We're taking away different aspects of the experience, and that's great. I think that's not a problem. Like normally you say like, oh, we
Mhm.
all have to play together. We have to have a shared game that we all play. We do, but we don't all have to walk away liking the same things. We can all walk away cherishing or being thought provoked by different aspects of the same
It's
process.
interesting to see what different aspects we each come away with. That's the
Oh
fascinating.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly,
That's thought
exactly.
provoking in itself to find out what everyone walked away from differently. And there's no wrong answer.
There's
I
no wrong answer. And a
I
week
I
later, you're still thinking about it. You're still like, oh, that game with the
yeah.
furniture. I'm thinking about the game where we redefined what furniture was. Like that was really interesting.
I
Yeah.
I like the world building. Like, because as a player you don't get to do that much, not
Right.
typically. Um I would get stuck because yeah, like I'm still on pets. I I would
Pets
want
one's
to
so
like
good.
get into the like whatever it is
Uh-huh.
though. I want to get into it and then flesh it out. Like, okay, so now if like that factor is different and really interesting, what like we don't feed our pets. That's not
Right.
the
What are the
owner's
consequences of
that's
it?
not the
Exactly.
owner's
Exactly.
responsibility. Where does that go from there?
Exactly. And the game has very rigid steps, very, very rigid. It's very rigid. It's a very bossy game. Um, you go through very specific steps. Not a big discussion. It's like player one starts off the world, does the first big contradiction, and then each other person basically takes one of the facts we know about the normal world and either says in
Mm,
this world that's going to be true, that's going to be false, or they're going to add a detail to something that someone else already said. So we're just going to add a couple of more
yeah,
chunks of
yeah,
data and then we're going to do another step of each one
that's cool.
adding some detail, and then we're going to stop.
Yeah,
So it's not a freewheeling discussion. It's
right.
a pithy contributions that then can sometimes completely flip your brain about what you thought of this world,
Yeah.
and then you stop. And then your brain is like still going. You're
It's like the
like, I'm
perfect
thinking about this.
campfire RPG.
In
Like,
fact, yes, we have. I
seriously.
have. I have a couple of paper plates that my good friend Caroline and Mark, who make Caroline, who made Downfall, who's a one of my well, the person I talk to about games all the time, right? They were off camping and played in this world and wrote all their notes on paper plates from their
Oh,
campfire thing. So
funny.
it's
See, there you
fantastic.
go.
Yeah,
Oh,
There you
fantastic.
that
go.
Jace, that's a good call.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, because
Yeah.
it reminds me of so when my girls were little now, I thought this was a brilliant idea. It never really took. But there are these story cubes,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
they're
yeah,
just
yeah,
just
yeah,
larger six-sided dice,
yeah,
but they have a symbol, like
yeah,
something, a tree, a
yeah.
house, or whatever, dog. And I thought, okay, that would be fun for like when we're up north for a week
Right.
and we're just in the cabin in the evenings and and those come to mind listening to you, except that your game would be almost like the inverse,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's very provocative to me. Like
Here's the
I could
thing
see
that
running with it.
the story cube thing, the idea of randomizers in games is fascinating to me.
Hmm.
Because you see all these games are like, oh, there's an oracle, you roll on this table and it
Right.
tells you, what do you encounter, blah, blah, blah. The randomizer doesn't know what's happening in the game. That's
Right.
the problem. The
That's the
randomizer is
problem.
not in the game.
That's
The
right.
randomizer doesn't know you.
No.
It can't unless you could make a really complicated one that could have a save state of some kind. But basically,
Yeah.
it's introducing to random information,
Right.
right? You don't
Right.
want random. You want
Right.
you want something that is based on the
Right.
people there, right? And like so Microscope does this, in this world does this, a lot of my games do this. The
Hmm.
randomizer is really the other person. Like
Right.
someone else said something that I didn't expect, and I'm riffing off of that, but there's no dice. There's just like the unpredictability of the human mind,
Right.
which again is why you don't allow discussion. You don't allow collaboration because that would ruin it. It'd be
Yeah.
like, I
Right.
want, I want to be surprised by your idea. I don't want to
Hmm.
know what you're going to say. It's like poker. Hit me with
Hmm.
something, and then I'm going to riff off of that,
Oh,
in the
wow.
moment.
See.
Yeah.
It's in this world. It sounds so simple when I describe it, but it's one of those that the like the whole there's a lot of subtle moving parts to it, which like if you do it slightly differently, it doesn't work. But if you do it in this way, it works great. I love this game. It's also a game where of all my friends, if everyone's tired,
Yeah.
you don't really have the energy to really like jump into a big game or something. And I'm like, well, do you want to play some in this world? They'll like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. They will always do that because it starts off very easy and just eases you in. There's no big jump. There's no big like microscope, right? what's your big picture at the beginning? That's a big jump. It has a lot of big asks, right?
Yep. Yep.
A big creative lift, but in this world does the opposite and just kind of slides you in with known facts. So I love it. Very happy with it. Good times.
It's really neat.
How
Vacations
often
also so good.
how often do you get a chance to play with everything that you're doing related to
Yeah.
game development and
I
everything?
have I'm in a once upon a time I had like no regular game times except like every so back in the day, back when I was still in Seattle, I ran Story Game Seattle, which was an open meetup so that it was
Nice.
basically at an event at a venue every week, same time, and anybody could show up, and if you showed up, you were going to play. We were going to get you in a game, and I would cajole people to become facilitators. I'd teach them how to play these games, and over time, we developed this whole community. And it went on for about 8 years. I was running it, and so many amazing people who'd never played games like this before, came in, sat down with each other, total strangers, and took this leap of faith and played games and had a great time. So I did that constantly, right? Every week. Plus, sometimes also there's a Saturday game. So it was like a weekly or bi-weekly, depending. Um, but then I left town. I wasn't doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And then with the this whole playing online thing, now it's never been easier to play with people. I now have 2.5 weekly games. I have two games that are
Oh,
solid every single week, and then a third that's almost solid every week, in addition to then other kind of random pickup games. So I'm gaming with like two different groups. So I'm gaming a pretty fair amount, and that's I think
wow.
it's
Awesome.
essential. Like if you wanna understand these games, there's nothing more educational than play, right?
Right.
Even
Right.
when games go badly, they teach you so much. In fact, they teach you more when they go badly, right? When there's hiccups, when
Fair.
there's
Yep. Yep.
misunderstandings, and you go, that's educational. So yeah, gaming a lot, but not
I,
enough. Probably not enough.
I'm just so impressed that you're gaming 2 to 3 times a week. I mean,
But think of it this way, with this thing, with the internet and all this stuff, all you need to do, there's no travel time,
yeah,
there's none of that. There's so long as
you
people can
think,
hit the button at the right time, you're all there, right? It's amazing. Again, gaming online has certain disadvantages, but it has massive advantages. I've
yeah,
had
it
friends
does.
who had kids and were like,
Yep,
"Oh my
that's
God,
right.
you have a newborn children, it's gonna be so difficult." They
Hmm.
can manage it because they're like,
Yep,
"Well, I just walk into this other room, I can pick up the
that's right.
baby and come in here." And
That's
things
right.
which would have been to show up at an event would be just impossible or very, very difficult.
And you
So,
can be, I mean, it's not often, but you can be impromptu. Like,
oh
hey,
yeah,
what are you doing tonight? Right. There's no
there's no
travel. It's
travel.
just,
Yeah.
you can,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, this is very, very true.
Yeah. And if someone's like, "Oh, actually, no, I'm not feeling well. Can I bail?" We're like, "No problem. It's click the button. It's not like you
That's
came all
right.
the way out here. It's not.
Right.
It's so much more civilized." And again,
Yeah.
initially when I started gaming online, I was like, "Oh, this isn't as good as in person." And yeah, probably it isn't as good as in person, but it's pretty amazing for the other advantages. So I'm not
Agreed.
complaining. I'm not
No, no, no.
complaining.
I agree. It's, I,
No, I remember as a kid grabbing the landline phone and putting it into the suction cups into the modem and
Yeah.
thinking and dialing and literally dialing from the junior high school to the high school and thinking to myself, boy, I mean, just being fascinated by being able to connect from computer to computer and now I'm such a Luddite. Now being able to do this and us being able to communicate, you know, this
And using
way
it for
and
good. Using it for
yes,
good. Right?
yes,
We could be
yes.
online having conspiracy theories instead. We're having and I kid about this, but I genuinely do believe that I firmly believe, very firmly believe that um playing games together is good for us. It's good for our
oh,
brains. It's
Oh
good for our
yeah.
social
yes.
interaction. It makes us better people. It makes us appreciate people more. I wish everybody gamed more together in all ways. I think it would be better for society, right?
I
So
think I
the fact that
yeah.
it's easy, like, and here's the thing, it's also it takes a certain bravery. Like having done Story Game Seattle in person for years and seeing strangers walk in who'd never done so, had no idea what they're doing. They don't know what they're jumping into. I really do appreciate the bravery of somebody stepping into a situation. Like, say you're going to play Microscope, you don't know what's going to happen. You have no idea. Even if you've played Microscope before, the thing you're going to make tonight doesn't exist yet. You don't know what the fiction's going to be. You're taking a brave step every time you play it, right? That's amazing. Like, good for
Yep.
you. Like,
Yep.
good job, everybody. If I say let's play
Mhm.
D&D, you kind of know what you're getting into. Oh, I'm going to play a cleric, whatever. I get it. I know what the fiction is vaguely. Microscope, Well, none of my you don't have any, you have no idea. You just it's a blank slate. It could be anything.
And I think for a lot of folks that just that social, just the social interaction itself, if they're
Yeah.
going to a
Yeah.
store, that's or
Yeah.
even jumping online, that can be that's and it helps for folks that are even in, we've talked about this, it can help with social skill development and so on,
Absolutely. 100%.
you know.
Absolutely.
So,
I
um,
like I like the low to zero pressure element.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like Brad and I are due, and I was thinking about this all day. And so after this conversation with you, but I'm so texting you, Brad, after we do this.
So
But
we could plan our next game.
so we can have session two,
Oh, session
and
two.
so
Yes.
session
Yes.
two, and but then there's the element of as the GM for our just our duet here, our one-to-one. It's okay, but I know I have to come even though it's a sandbox
Yes.
game, where I have to come ready to deliver so that Brad has a good, if not great time. And so there has to be, even the way we're doing it, there has to be enough prep that at least the more obvious things you might want to do, Brad, like I'm
Think
like, okay,
about
I don't have to scramble in the moment. I'm at least a little prep for this.
think that what you're describing is exactly the problems I was having in the mid 90s up through that led to West Martial Arts all that stuff. The idea that as the GM, you were responsible for the fun and you knew it. Or you felt you were. You
Yeah,
felt it was your job to make the thing fun and the players showed up not expecting to be entertained exactly. In fact, often resenting that you were like in charge of the fun. There's this weird like there's this weird push me pull, like you had to kind of win the players over that your game was good. It's strange. It's an unhealthy dynamic. I don't think it's a healthy dynamic. Um, which is why I then gravitated to games where it's like, no, we're all equal, right? I don't have to prepare. I can play that often because I don't have to prepare anything. In fact, I'm legally enjoined against preparing anything. If we're playing Kingdom, I should not be preparing anything. I should not be
right.
preparing. We played we played campaigns of Kingdom that were 100 sessions long, and we just went because no one had to do anything. It wasn't like any work in between. When you're playing the game, you're playing the game. When you stop, you walk away, and you think about it constantly. And you're like, oh, I want my character to do X, Y, Z, but you shouldn't do that. You should just play in the moment. Um, but I remember distinctly when I was running West Marches, like the night before, even though it's a sandbox game, just like you're talking about, I'd be sitting there going like, oh wait, have I like figured out what the Knoll tribe has as treasure. All this like tedious kind of stuff you do, and that may get used, it may not get used. It's just a very different the obligations and the balance of contribution are not as good as they could be, right? Whereas if you could just play no prep, sit down whenever you want to play, free for both of you just equally involved in it, it takes away that responsibility. It's a whole different world. It just is a different
Egalitarian
feeling.
gaming. I love that. I think that, but not to dwell on it, but I think
Yeah.
the idea of like Jason, I think I put a lot of pressure on myself when I would GM games,
Hmm.
even when it's just him
You
and
did
I.
big
Jason
time.
knows this.
No,
Yeah. And
absolutely.
I
And
was
Yeah.
going to put
and
him down no matter what, to be clear. So, like, there was nothing to lose.
yes, yeah, I mean, I have nothing to lose. He's going to rip on me no matter
That's
what.
right.
Of course, of course, of
But and
course,
I'm
of
going to
course.
rip on
And
him
we
no
all
matter
know
what.
that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It goes
I
without
mean,
saying, right?
yeah,
But
we have
you would put a
it's
lot, I mean,
equal
you would put a lot of pressure on yourself.
yeah, equal opportunity ribbing.
Because you're also putting
But
pressure, you're putting pressure on yourself. You even if there's no players at the table in your brain, you're judging your own game. You're
Oh, yeah.
criticizing your own game.
Absolutely.
and then all of a sudden and there's that line that you have to be careful not to cross where it stops becoming a game,
Yeah. And you go in the seam
and
tunnels. You're right.
yeah, and all of a sudden now it's become an occupation or a second job of some sort or
It's a
another, and
burden. It becomes a burden, right?
burden.
You
There you
you as
Yeah.
the
go. Yeah.
GM are showing up and doing a job,
And that's not the purpose of
and then you burn
RPGs.
out, and
Right.
then
No.
you don't want to play anymore, and the
But
players are like, "Oh, wait, why don't you
Yeah.
want to play anymore? We're having
Yeah.
fun." I'm like, "You guys are awful quiet for having fun."
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's where
Prep
you
or
come in. That's where
right. Prep or not, it
you
should be a
said
joy.
grabbing different games, moving
Hmm.
between a GM-led game and a cooperative game or a group game. I mean, just being able to move like that.
Yep.
And like you said, when you said golden age of gaming, Jason and I have talked about this just because of,
Yeah.
having all this content. I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to embarrass myself and show you my shelving. Jason has seen it.
There's a
I
lot
Um,
of
can picture
content
it.
on
I
those
can
shelves, Ben.
imagine.
yeah,
Yeah, they're
it's
really
it's embarrassing. But it keeps me busy. But just there's just so much content now versus, even 10, 15 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
there's a riches of
let
material.
me interrupt with a question, kind of as to direct us maybe toward the close here. I'm curious, and this isn't a fair question. So if you don't have a great answer, Ben, that's fine, right? No pressure. We're all here to play. But the
Egalitarian.
exactly. But you brought something up earlier that we talked about in terms of this question of is there potentially too much, right? In the sense of
Mm.
not a lot of it's like book publishing. A lot of good games, like a lot of good potential books, fiction and nonfiction, will never see the light of day. And
Yeah,
and,
it's
and it's
it's
true with games, right? So let me ask you this question, because I have no idea. I really don't.
yeah.
Looking forward, say the next 3 to 5 years, what do you have any sense and or desire of where the industry might go? Like, do you
Oh
think we're gonna?
dear.
Do you? Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no, it's really.
I am possibly the last person asked about the industry. I know still. I do want to insert one thing about the
Yeah,
GM thing
please.
though, which is that there is a subcase which we should have mentioned, or I should have mentioned to be fair, which is that there's also an entire style of GMing with no prep. You play like a Powered by the Apocalypse style where you don't come to the table with preparation. You come to the table, you're still the GM and you have special power over the world and the fiction, but you are just in the moment making stuff up like everybody else. And I
I
think
could not do
that's
that as a GM. I would
it's
it would drive
it's
me nuts.
see that's the problem. I think because you're used to being this is the back to that thing I said with the microscope thing. If you're used to doing it one way, it's so hard to change gears. Um,
Yeah, no, I think it's more of a
right,
personal
right.
weakness. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that would be. But I agree. Like to show up
That'd be
unprepped.
against like
Oh,
your that's against your whole
like
But
my
there's but there's but
preppable
DNA,
there's
my
DNA.
methods. I think
my
the
Yeah.
trick
DNA
is
would
that
scream. Yeah,
the trick
yeah.
is that in a game like that, the
Hmm.
game itself has methods of how you then
Right.
address it. You
Yeah,
instead of just
fair.
being like, oh,
I
just
mean,
wing it, like good luck,
sounds very
buddy.
improv.
Good luck.
Yeah.
But think about what are players doing the whole time? Players just
Yeah, yeah,
improvising. Players
absolutely.
have always improvised. And even as the
100%.
GM,
Yep.
you're improvising half the time. You're like, oh, you talk to this guy on the road, he says something. That I
Yep.
think it's not to be too critical. I feel in some ways the structure we have followed as GMs for decades has made us insecure about our ability to improvise. Players
Fair.
don't have this problem, but as
No,
GMs, it's
no.
made us be
Mm.
worried that we're not prepared.
As a player, I want to know typically very, very little about
Yeah,
what's planned for the coming session.
yeah.
I
Because
want to
you're just
react.
gonna
Yep.
you're reacting.
Yep.
You're having a good time. You're
Yep.
relaxed. You're having
Hmm.
a beer, a Coke, a coffee, whatever.
Yep. You got
Anyways,
it.
but as far as the like the I don't know the industry. Okay, a couple things.
Yeah.
The It's interesting that like this the rise of solo games is interesting to me. I
Yes.
am I am not a solo guy at all. I think
Okay.
fundamentally, philosophically, I think they're different behaviors. I think
Hmm.
that in a game, the thing that interests me is the idea that we as a group of people have to come to some kind of an agreement. We have to like
Yeah. Yeah.
agree to find a common ground that we want to do together. And it's interesting to me that a solo game doesn't have any of that. Like it's just you. And so I feel they're just different pursuits. They're not in the same
Interesting.
vein at all, right?
Yeah.
Like even any D&D game, I have to accept what the GM is telling me. I have to agree with the other
So
players
even when like you're operating in like a constructed IP or world,
because
like
it's just you and there's
yeah.
no one to tell you you're wrong. You know what I mean?
It's
You
true.
never have to there's
Yeah.
never that social
Yeah.
aspect of like I don't
Fair.
really like your idea, but I'll go along with it.
Yep.
Or
Okay.
that crosses the line for me. The thing we're doing right now, the fact that we are three of us are discussing things and interacting and riffing at each other and reacting,
Yeah.
that to me is the core activity
Agreed.
of a role-playing game. And that just
Absolutely.
doesn't exist in a solo game. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's got to be something different. That's a different beast, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
isn't it? It's got to be. And it's not to
Interesting. Yeah.
belittle, because lots of people love them and are like, that's great. But like, that's different, right? That's not the same thing.
Mhm. So interesting. I'm gonna have to think about that. Yeah. I'm. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the
Mm.
way there's we've talked about different solo games out there. It's almost like, and I'm not knocking them because
Sure.
I've played them, I've used them. They're almost like writing. They're almost like it's almost like a writing exercise. And I
And
don't even
it's
want to
like,
say
yeah,
exercise, but it's writing. It's creative writing in
it's
many
so
ways.
weird. Like, I think we start, like, anytime you start comparing to other mediums, it starts to sound insulting. People start talking
Yeah.
about,
Right.
like
Yeah.
games are like improv. It always feels a little insulting, so I'm hesitant to compare to other mediums.
Fair.
All I want to say is it's different, and here's why it's different, and it's its own thing.
Yeah.
It's its own thing, and I think
It
that's
is a
more
something.
important to the point.
Yeah,
And I think it's important to
lovely.
understand that because if you think if you don't see the difference and you say, oh, I could use solo rules in a group, or I could use a group game as solo, there are rules built in there to make the people interact successfully. And if you don't have those rules, you say, oh, let's use a solo system. You're just winging it. You're just literally like, hey, when we disagree, do we just like do we wrestle? What do we do? Like, how do we solve this? You know, you're missing an actual system you might need or
Right,
some kind
right.
of productive method of
Yeah,
resolving a
that's really
conflict. And you're just gonna
proactive.
wing
Yeah.
it. And you're like,
Yep.
I think that's important.
Hey, as we
Yeah.
wrap up,
So interesting.
no, we could keep
I
you
think
for
that's
hours the way we've
important.
been talking.
No,
You
this
know,
is really, really cool.
That's
Yeah.
my tagline for every end statement. I
This
think
is
that's
important.
important.
this is
That's
important.
This
great.
is
I love it.
important.
Just put that on the bottom of every page of every game book
Yes.
now. This is important.
It's all bold. It's all italicized. It's
Right.
all 14 point.
I think
It's
that
all
could be
Right.
like
important.
at the like on the back panel of all your books.
This is
Yeah, this
important.
is
Just
important.
That's
yes,
awesome.
yeah, just on the back
I'm
panel.
gonna start signing texts and emails like that.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
important.
yeah.
Right?
Just
The only
every
the only
text.
problem is we believe Ben, Jason. We
No
wouldn't
one would
believe
believe.
you.
Yeah,
You know
Yeah,
what?
I was
yeah,
gonna try it with my wife,
Fake it
but I
till you
don't know
make
that.
it.
Yeah,
Fake it till you make it. Just
that's
yeah.
true. Yeah,
embrace the belief.
yeah.
As we as because we want to be cognizant of time. We know that
And you
you're
being under the
that
weather.
yeah, and
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
you've
so
been
under the weather.
yeah.
It's because I get fired up. You know, I get rejuvenated. This is healing me. I'm being
Good. Good.
healed by
Well,
this
thank you for
discussion.
taking the time with us. Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Um,
wanted to talk to you for a long time.
we've been wanting, and we appreciate you doing this while you've
Hmm.
been under the weather. But of projects that you want to talk that you can talk about, we're
Yeah.
not a spoiler
No.
podcast and anything like that. What are things that you've been working on? I'll spoil one of them because you have it on there. You're working on. There's a play test out there for Microsoft Chronicle.
Microscope Chronicle. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Very cool.
The Microscope is my
Microscope. Did I just say
microscope. No, no,
Microsoft?
You did, and it was
everyone does that. I
and
do
it
that
was
too. I do that too.
golden.
It's
It
fine. I
was
do that too.
golden.
We all do that. We all do. It's fine. It's
Oh,
fine.
Yeah,
I
because Microscope works
yeah,
yeah.
as a game. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Microscope is like my Silmaril, right?
Nice.
It's the
Hmm.
work of my soul that like I'm almost afraid to touch again. And so I've been
Yeah.
very hesitant to do a second edition
Yeah.
because it just feels too scary to like I did a second
Sure.
edition of Kingdom and I was very happy with it because the second edition was great and I'm so pleased. And I'm like, yeah, 2011 though, I really gotta like do that. And so I've been creeping up on it by doing Microscope Chronicle, which is it's like a kinder, gentler microscope, I guess you could say.
Okay.
It's like a
Hmm.
simpler, I don't, not simpler. It's a more character-focused microscope about a
Hmm.
specific thing. And Microscope, for everyone who doesn't know, is like a game of epic fractal histories where you basically
Yeah.
you as players have the
Yeah.
ability you do make an entire world, universe, history,
Yeah.
whatever you want. You have vast powers to create and destroy. So I was making Chronicle as a way to creep up on revising Microscope, and that's gone very well and been really fun. But it's also like it's a big project. And as any game designer will tell you, you need a little like sweet with your sour. You need a little
Hmm.
salty and sweet, whatever those two things are. I can't remember what it is, but um, so the gang of us, the crew of people who I kind of talk game design with,
Nice.
um, we started this little thing. We started this kind of more as like a little like philosophy, and that's kind of erupted into this little club. And it's a little thing we call Summer Lab. And
I
it's our
saw that.
thing where we basically
Awesome.
like give ourselves the freedom to like just do some little experiments, do some little things. Like when I make a game, I tend to think like I'm going to work on this for years and it's going to be a big book and I'm going to spend all this time delving into human nature and it's going to be a huge project. I do not make small games. And I'm like, but what if I did make small games? What if I just made some little things just on the side
Yeah.
that were still interesting, but like I'm not going to spend 5 years playtesting this, right? And Summer Lab is kind of the
That's
freedom to do
cool.
that. And so it's like I've already been cranking out multiple little games that are like
Okay.
smaller and they're like the first one, Rules of Law is the first one
I
that
saw
is
that.
basically
Yeah.
practically done. Um,
Cool.
and it's just like examining society by the laws that the society enforces and like creating fiction, basically creating a fictional world through the laws of that society. Short and sweet, like 2 pages and it's great. We played it. I was like, this is super
Wow.
fun. And like, it's that I have never let myself do that before. I've never given myself permission to just
Yeah.
make a simple short game and be done. And you hear a game like In This World, and like In This World could have been that, but I still wasn't in that mindset. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so I got like two parallel things
Really
going on. I got the
neat.
big project, like the Microscope Chronicle, which is a big fish, and then I have this kind of like freedom to do
Yeah.
a bunch of things that are all smaller
It's
and
that
sm
experimental mentality.
very experimental.
Very
Some of them
cool.
are well, I won't get into it, but I got a game I'm not sure I should make. It's got it's we'll talk about it another time.
In the news today, right?
It's a thing. It's a whole thing. I keep
Yeah.
talking to my friends like, should I make this game? And they're like,
Just
that's
remember,
weird.
Ben, this is important.
This is important. This is important. Some games should be taken in the desert and buried. And I'm like,
I
maybe I should
doubt
make this
that.
game. I don't know. It's questionable.
That's awesome. And just for the record, before we wrap up, um, uh, Amazon was utilized this evening.
I told you this before we clicked record. Like this is an issue, Brad.
Yeah.
Brad, like, you
Like
brought something.
Amazon. What do you mean?
I
Oh,
mean, even I
Amazon.
was looking.
Amazon,
I was
right?
Yeah,
browsing, but
I ended
Right,
up
right.
I can only get one right now because I have to be cognizant, but I picked up Kingdom.
Kingdom. Oh,
ooh,
Kingdom, I gotta tell you, is like the sleeper hit. I think
oh
I've played
cool,
more Kingdom than any of my other games.
You
We
really?
have
when
played
and when you were
so
just
much
talking about,
Kingdom.
yeah, and when you were talking about it, I it was between that and In This World, and it was literally, it was a last second decision. I had both of them sitting on two different tabs, and I finally said Kingdom because I think
They're
when you were
wildly different
talking,
beasts, but
yeah.
Kingdom is gotten
So
I've we played so much Kingdom.
that'll arrive on
So good.
Saturday. So
Okay, we'll be
Jason,
talking Saturday.
yeah, well,
Okay.
Saturday evening
Sunday,
because
Saturday evening, Sunday. Okay,
yeah,
yep. You'll be
so
GMing. You'll have the book.
yeah, yeah,
No
so
pressure.
We call it facilitating. Facilitating.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
so but
facilitate well, my friend.
yeah,
Nice.
Facilitate
so
well.
yeah. Hey,
Ben, thank you so much.
thanks for
It was
joining us, and
so
we'll
much fun.
No, thank you. So much a pleasure. So much fun. Such
and
a good time.
after I murder our first attempt at facilitating Kingdom, we'll have you back so that you can critique what I did wrong. So
You know what? If you have fun, you're probably doing it right. I mean, there are rules, but
Yeah.
so again to Ben, thank you again for joining us.
Very much.
Just love the conversation. We appreciated him coming on, not when he wasn't feeling well,
Mm,
coming off of a cold.
yep.
Um,
You can expect to hear Ben again on Dice and Mind.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
Mm,
just like we said before the discussion, you could tell within 30 seconds that this was going to be just a cool conversation. Um, so thank you so much. Let's head over to the Loon Cafe. Now,
let's.
we are going to talk
We are.
about Pioneer.
I've never heard of it.
But before we do that,
Oh no.
you sent me a picture and I just wanted to bring it up.
What did I send you?
You sent me a picture because you saw the Cosmere RPG.
I did, and you never responded, but I knew you'd get a kick out of that.
And I forgot to no, I did respond.
No.
Yes, I did because
Oh,
I mentioned to you, remember I mentioned to you about seeing it myself. And I also saw that Merrick Moyer had also posted seeing it in the stores.
did you really respond that to me? Maybe I've just stopped reading your texts.
No, because you responded as well. We had a conversation about this.
Really?
You need to start drinking tea instead of
I
whatever you're
know. I'm
drinking.
I'm going back to my no, 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 no.
We had a
I
conversation
know
about this.
you oh, not
We had
on
a con
text.
Oh, not in text. We had it over voice.
Oh, okay. I was
When
gonna
you
say,
okay, that makes more sense.
okay.
Yes, because remember you called me yesterday when you were in the car and when you were
Oh, I
picking up
forgot.
your
Okay,
daughter.
I forgot. I
That's
saw.
what it
Okay, that
was.
makes more sense.
Yes.
I saw the Roshar adventure. Anyway, again, I was kind of like in our intro. I was back at the Source RPG store.
Which
Wonderful,
you now
large
as we
place.
record this, this is just a couple days after Thanksgiving.
Yep, here in the States, and as you know very well, Brad, and I think as we've talked about before, it was Thanksgiving weekend of 2016 that I
Yep.
got back into RPGs. Hadn't played since college or like the first year or so of grad school. And I got to the point in life. I was in my 40s and I got to the, not anymore, but I got to the point in my life and I thought, I've missed this for so long and I've never stopped thinking about role playing. And I finally thought, I don't care what anyone thinks. I don't care how this looks. I want to go. And I brought my wife's middle brother and one of her California cousins who was in for the week visiting, which was wonderful. And and we all went to the source and like that started it. And I bought Edge of the Empire and yeah, it just got me into it. And so I have made it a habit, a tradition for the for the past 9 years, Thanksgiving weekend, I I go shopping or browsing at one or more of the RPG stores locally, and we are blessed to have quite a few here in the Twin Cities. And so I was wandering in, and the source has like they've got, I mean everything you can think of, but they've got some indie racks, which is really cool. And then they had a couple new racks, and I look, and they had all. I didn't send you pictures, all of the Cosmere stuff, and it looked beautiful. The Roshar
Very
was the
cool.
first one I saw.
Yes. And it is so cool to see that that is out in the stores now.
Way to go,
I did,
Merrick.
yep,
Yeah.
I did peek. It's out on Amazon as well. Um,
Yep.
and there's pre-orders for other stuff that's out there. So, congrats and well done to Merrick
And the whole team.
and the whole team. Um, just very cool stuff that's going to be on my list for 2026. Um,
And lest we forget Ross, who did a lot of the work and is just a neat person.
yeah, and now that it's out, we're going to have to reach out to Ross.
So, Ross, if you're listening, and we're sure you're not, but if you're listening,
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah. We'll tee Ross up now that, Ross, we're sure you weren't listening before we teed you up, but now that
But
we've teed you up, but
you never know. He could be our fourth listener, in all fairness.
it could be.
Could be. Unlikely, but it could be. It could be.
Unlikely. It
It could
could
be.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that Norwegian person or that could just be a VPN person that's VPNing.
I just assume
Yeah,
that's Brian who's VPing from Wisconsin, but
yeah,
VPNing from
that could
Wisconsin,
be.
but whatever. Brian, don't fall off the treadmill.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, don't fall off the treadmill. Whoop, flying
Dunk, dunk,
against the
dunk, dunk,
wall.
dunk, dunk, dunk.
Bonk.
Yeah.
So, okay, now let's go to the main point, which is that
This is
the
very, very exciting.
the Pioneer Kickstarter has completed.
From Mongoose Publishing. So
Has
let's peel back. I'll do you. Let's peel back the fourth wall and be honest. So
yeah,
we are recording. This isn't going to drop for 2 weeks, but we are recording on the 30th of November.
yep,
So the Kickstarter ended date actually yesterday.
yep.
Yesterday. And just highlights here. I'm on the Kickstarter because Brad and I are both backers. I in fact, oh, you know what's cool? On the bill, and then when I log in now, it says backer 10, which is just kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool.
That's kind of cool. But Mongoose Publishing requested a pledge goal of 20,000 pounds, which I think was about $26,000 US. In 30 days, they raised 102,848 pounds, which I think was just a tad over $130,000 US. Along the way, they unlocked, let me count this here. They unlocked, whoops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stretch goals.
Yeah,
Think about that. And which is funny because like I had texted you like 3 days, maybe 4 days earlier, like they're not gonna break this number. Like it's slowed down. You're like, yeah, it's not gonna happen. And then, like you said, then like Black Friday kind of stuff came, Thanksgiving weekend, and then boom, it just like the last 36 hours, it just seemed to explode.
I think what I notice is there are some decent Black Friday deals out there
Yeah, there are. Yep.
in the RPG community. I don't think there are like super screaming deals like
But we're
maybe
losing you, Brad.
oh,
There.
sorry. There aren't any super screaming deals like there
No.
have been in the past. And I just wonder if people were like, you know what, then I'm gonna
That's
take a look at
curious.
what's going on out in Kickstarter
Yep.
land, and maybe people put some of their money towards
Yeah, because it's a pricey. It like I got built. It's a pricey Kickstarter. Sorry, it's a pricey RPG. Even by RPG standards, I would argue, if you want the print. But for
yes,
example, but the vast majority, I'm looking here, the vast majority of backers, um, my God, 511 backers, 511 out of 848 backed at the 140 pound level, the highest level, which, I think it just really says something. I know I want us to talk about this for a moment here because we haven't even had a chance, but I think it says something about two factors. One, it says something about mongoose,
yeah.
right? Like and I will just give this spoiler alert. Stay tuned to Dice and Mind. But we've had the real pleasure, real honor of talking twice and not the last times with their CEO. And Mongoose is a heck of a company, and they make some really, really impressive products in the gaming world. Obviously, Traveler being, one of the 800-pound gorillas. But I think people know what they put out and the increasing caliber of what they're producing. But also, Pioneer, I think, Brad, is truly unique in the RPG space because it's not only designed by RPG designers and artists, etc., 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 but there's an astrophysicist on board, right? This is new. My goal, the whole reason I backed is because I have been reading Ben Bova since I was a teen, maybe a
Yeah.
preteen. And for me, Pioneer will be an opportunity to play essentially in Ben Bova's solar system. In other words,
Yeah.
it starts 10 to
Yeah.
30 years from today, but Bova starts around that time and extends out about a century. And the way Pioneer is designed, it can follow suit. And so I'll just kick this over to you with this last comment because you and I talked a bit about this offline. I'm curious to play it, but more than anything, I'm going to read the core rulebook as RPG lit.
I absolutely.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I just I'm just thinking about the idea of a, like I said before, an epic epoch,
Yes.
an
Yeah, that's
epic
clever.
EPIC epic,
EPOHC. An epic epoch.
EPOCH.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
an
I'm with you.
epic that would
Mhm.
just run all the way through the Fifth Frontier War, which is what they're publishing now.
Oh my
And
God. Oh,
and
multiple epochs. Jeez.
yeah, and what's interesting is I don't know if you noticed, but Mongoose even announced that there's a new Kickstarter. It's not something that I'm interested in right now, but it's just fascinating that they're going to be doing a Kickstarter where they're going to be taking Traveler and modifying it for fifth edition rules.
So I purposely didn't text you because I thought that day you had enough text from me. But
Yeah.
I saw that, and that's something you and I definitely need to talk about. That
Yeah,
is intriguing.
it's very intriguing
Hmm.
and I'm fascinated to watch it. We're not really like fifth edition players. We don't
Well,
do
I mean,
much with that.
no,
But
look, I
it's
just
it's
GM.
nothing we're not against it. It's
No, I
just
just GM'd a game, a 5e Friday. But
oh,
to
that's right,
your
you did. Yes.
but to your but no, we do not play. I mean, we hardly play at all, and when we play, it's pretty much STA. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and
But
that's just
still,
it's mostly a time thing for us.
right. But the
And
5e mechanic is a fun mechanic.
yeah, absolutely it is. It's nothing against it. It's so and so I always use the term ingress point. I use it a lot when we
Yeah, I
talk
like
with
that.
Jim Johnson
Yeah.
when we talk about STA. This is an interesting, very interesting set of events where are they looking to potentially you have oh shoot, I can't remember the I can't remember the the sci fantasy, not Starfinder
Not
with Paizo,
Starfinder with
but
Paizo. Who are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of Spelljammer.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. The
where
D&D
the D&D thing where
spell.
it's a,
Okay.
you know,
Well, okay, but wait, wait.
is this
I hope not. I if
no, it isn't. It
mm.
isn't, but is this a way where now you're going to
Oh,
have,
bring in the D&D players because it's a familiar mechanic. Can you
yeah,
imagine? Can I talk about worlds colliding? Can you imagine if Mongoose could bring over a significant percentage, like a significant minority percentage of D&D players who are immersed in 5e
I'm
to the
just
Travelerverse? Ooh,
I'm just thinking potentially business wise,
big deal.
it's a big, it could be a brilliant move,
I think in the
you
business it's
know.
called a BFG.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're saying LFG. So
I have to think about that one for a second.
let's
Oh, okay, LFG,
flip
yes.
and go.
I haven't used that in a while. I need to. I still so
I just
I
watched
have
Deadpool,
I still
so
haven't
it's,
seen it.
oh
I
goodness, you have
haven't
to
seen two
watch.
or three.
Oh, you have to. You have to.
I'm still
So
having flashbacks of real Corinthian leather.
God. Scoutmaster Jeff. So,
Exactly.
and now we have an explicit tag on this one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Thank God no one listens.
I think yeah, pretty much. I think Pioneer is the big talk, and but ultimately
Hmm.
just on a D&D slant, very periphery. Um, my daughter has me starting to watch.
Are you gonna say Stranger Things?
Yeah,
So, my younger daughter, she's been into this. So we have watched this since she was a kid.
yeah.
And yep. And so are you all the way through episode 4, season 5?
No, not yet.
How many have you watched?
Two.
Okay, so 1 and 2 are good.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this as someone who I am grateful to watch it with my daughter because she wants to watch it with me. But I've never been into Stranger Things. It's really well done. I love the 80s, right? They capture so much of our childhood so well.
Mm-hmm.
But but the show itself, like I've never been into, it's neat. But
Yeah.
I've never been the only reason I watch it is because of my daughter.
I'm watching it so
Yeah.
that we can chat about it. That's why I'm watching it.
Episodes 3 and 4 are, so I'll put it this way. We got home late that when did we got home late on the 27th.
Yeah.
We stayed up till 2 watching 2, 3, and 4. If you watch 3, I promise you, you will immediately watch episode 4.
Then I'm gonna
3,
have to maybe
3
watch
and
it tomorrow.
4 are by far, I think, the best Stranger Things episodes they've ever made. And even for me not being into the show, they are really good episodes, and I'm chomping at the bit to see the next batch. And I'm not into Stranger Things.
Yeah, and those come out at the end of next month.
December
So
25.
yeah,
Yep.
yep.
So no, you have to. 3 and 4 are excellent, and they don't pause.
Oh boy. I don't know if I'll watch them tonight or if
And
I'll wait
full
till
of, oh,
tomorrow.
and they're longer. Each of those is running about 80 minutes.
Yeah, then I'll wait and watch it tomorrow. I'll
And
wait
they
and
are
watch tomorrow.
full of surprises, really unexpected things.
Yeah, then I'm gonna wait and watch tomorrow.
Yeah, and everyone dies.
No, I know that that doesn't
Okay,
happen.
okay, okay.
Nice
Well,
try.
okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, nice
Yeah,
try.
could happen.
So,
I didn't realize, by the way, before, I mean, we'll get back to Pioneer, but I didn't realize until today or yesterday how Lovecraftian Stranger Things is. Like
oh,
almost, I know that's really naive of me to say, but it really didn't click. And it's almost like it's getting
well,
like, no, 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 no,
yeah.
just wait.
Okay.
After 3 and 4, you like seriously, tell me what you think. Like this is some Cthulhu stuff. It's. I didn't realize how Lovecraftian the story is, but to
Okay.
me, yeah, I didn't see it. But and again, that's my naivete with the genres. But I think after 3 and 4, I came away thinking, oh, this this has always been here, and it wasn't evident to me until now. But it's really doubling down.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
have to
talk about it.
watch. I'll have
Yeah,
to watch with that in mind.
yeah,
So,
and, yeah.
but yeah, that's really between Pioneer and that and me binging DS9. That's really been what's been on my docket
That
over the
sounds
past.
excellent. The binging DS9. I resubscribed to Apple TV. I told you I was going to get back into For All Mankind and because they're having the Apple's having the it was like 5.99 for the month or for several months. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to watch season 4. And I
Yeah,
watched the couple trailers again, gave it a couple days. It's 3 days now, and I'm not going to.
no,
It, I love so many things about it, but it became so melodramatic for me. I just can't get excited about it. I still have the month to watch it. I have until the end of December. So I'm not saying I won't change my mind, especially now that due to some unforeseen circumstances, I might be spending a little more TV time.
I give yourself a couple days. I still say it's worth watching.
Have you watched all the way through?
Yes.
Is there enough in chapter? Is there enough in season 4 that I'll be intrigued?
Um,
I mean, I'm
it's hard to say, but I think lacking other shows,
I'm good until the end of January when Star Trek Starfleet Academy comes out.
and that's why I'm saying
Yeah,
I think
fair.
lacking other shows out there, I think it was worth a watch.
Okay,
I
that's fair.
think I think if there was something else out there, I would say put something else above it.
But
But
there's not.
yeah,
There's
so
there's
I would
there's nothing
say
else out that I'm watching.
yeah, then I would say it would be worth it.
Okay, I'll keep thinking about it. I
Yeah.
purposely I have the month. I purposely gave myself time. Maybe I just will watch it on the MacBook instead of like on the screen, on the
Yeah.
TV. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be my recommendation,
Okay.
but noodle on it.
All right, well, everyone. Well, once again, we've drifted wide off the mark. But to bring it back to Pioneer for a moment,
Mm,
Kickstarter is long done by the time you hear this. Fulfillment is expected August of 26.
hmm
But we are hoping that they will be saying some more things like the updates have there have been 11 updates. They've been really neat, really interesting getting to the game mechanics. I'm sure there's more coming. I'm unrealistically optimistic that maybe they'll release some, I don't know, some more artwork or maybe some PDF material, something to keep people looking,
Yeah.
since there's a wait. But more on that. Ben Robbins, again, thank you so much for being on. That was so much fun.
A lot of fun. Yes. Yes.
And as always, as we rapidly approach the end somehow of 2025.
Good grief.
I seriously, see now I want to watch the Charlie Brown Everything special. Haven't watched any of them this year. But as we rapidly approach the end of 2025, as this drops, it is a scant 2 weeks away. Um, Stay tuned. We are we're scheduled. Our interviews are scheduled into March, I believe. And oh man, um, I know we say that a lot, but if if the schedule, like if everything that we have been planning works as planned, we have just an absolutely fascinating, ultra wide range of conversations coming your way in and far beyond the RPG verse.
Yes.
So, so yeah, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere like we are, enjoy these winter months. As we're recording, we've had 6 and 8 plus inches respectively in the past day or two, so it looks like winter up here. If you are in the Southern Hemisphere, good on you. Hope to be getting down there in the next couple of years. And in the interim, you know the deal. Be well, stay well. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.